Thanks to Ed for creating this challenge for us. So we're looking at average grades of students for this one. So we look at our data set to begin with, and I've just realized that this isn't even the starting point. This is the starting point here, where we've had to wildcard union together all of the term tables in that Excel file. And to do this, we need to make sure that we are not just on a single table in the Tables tab of the Input step, but we are unioning multiple tables together. And the file filter comes through automatically. We're looking at this particular Excel file, but we need to add in this worksheet filter so that the worksheet name matches term and then a star. So the star acts as like the wildcard side of things. So anything that starts with the word term and then a number, that is what we'll be pulling through. So basically all we're doing is excluding the headmaster notes in this wildcard union because that's not really necessary as part of this challenge. So then we come to the stage where we have this data set. I just renamed the table names field to term in the input step and got rid of the file paths because that would be the same for every single one of our inputs. So we can see our students, the term dates and the term numbers, and then their grades across the 4 subjects here. If we look at this date field, first of all, then this should fill us all with not particular happiness looking at those dates. They're all very different formats that they've been written in. We know that each of our dates has to be the 16th of the month, and then so that gives us an idea that the 16th is always the day, and then we have the month there and the years as well, all in different orders. So if we try our best, first of all, let's just duplicate our field. That's often what I'm doing when I'm working with dates that are troublesome, and try just changing it to a data type and kind of start investigating from there. Which of those dates can it translate correctly? So renaming that duplicated field, and from that experimentation I found that if I replaced the slashes with dots in my term date, so basically make the delimiter between the dates be a similar kind of format, then that would help Prep to be able to translate these strings into dates. So now we've got a little bit more consistent format. It's just the ones with dashes or hyphens that are not in the same format, but for 5 out of 6 dates, this works. It's just the date here, which is June 2021, which is unsurprising it hasn't been able to convert that into a date because it doesn't know what the day part should be. So we'll create 2 branches to the workflow here. We'll keep down here our non-null dates, so all those that worked through that translation, and then we'll treat that null date slightly differently. So we'll just add on to this field the -16 at the end. This longer function is kind of from when I was playing around with lots of different ways of fixing this problem, but I found this way to be kind of the best way to do it for this particular data set. So adding on that 16, then we can just change that data type to a date, and it all works nicely for us to then union these 2 strands back together. Okay, now we can actually start focusing on calculating those average grades. So we can pivot our data. So any of those fields that contains the word subject or grade we could have used as well. And then we can do an aggregate step so that we have our ID, so our student IDs, our terms and our term dates, and the average subject grade for each of our students. Again, just renaming these slightly, rename that average student grade, subject grade to GPA. And then we need to calculate a 3-term moving average, which has been made so much easier for us in 2023.2 of Tableau Prep. So if you're not using that version, definitely go ahead and get yourself upgraded. So if I just expand this here, this is basically found by going to the menu of the GPA field, going to create calculated field, and then moving calculation. So we need to be grouping by each student, ordering by the term date in ascending order, and then calculating the average GPA for the 2 previous values and the current one. So you can see how that's taken into consideration basically the full year's worth of data, but then in the subsequent year it will also then give us more information about that student so that we can compare how they've changed over to a new year, basically. So we just rename this to be 3-term moving average, and then we're going to round this as well. So just round this field to 2 decimal places, just so that it is a bit cleaner down here. Cool. So now that we have calculated their GPA and their 3-term GPA moving average, we can then look at our other input, which is our student lookup table as a CSV, and we can join on the information about who these students actually are rather than just identifying them by IDs. But before we do that, we'll just make one field for our full name of the students, so combining the first name and the last name with a space in between, and then joining those together on the IDs. One of the outputs requires us to then rank our students, so who has the highest nope, we're not ranking by GPA, sorry, that was my mistake. I thought that was what we were doing. All we're doing is just ordering these now in the student name descending order, making sure the term date is ascending, so we're grouping together each of our students basically, and seeing their progress throughout the different terms. For our first output, and then next we need to work out who should be those prize winners, so we will filter to just term 3 and term 6. So the way that I did that was simply by clicking on these 2 that I wanted to keep, holding down Control so both selected, and then saying keep only, and then that filter gets generated and written for me. And then we're using a different type of rank now on the GPA term 3, the moving average basically. Sorry, I can't get my words out there. So that we're doing a percentile rank instead here. So that means that these students are in the top 1% if they're greater than 0.01, so everywhere up to here, these students are in the top 1%, but it's actually the students in the top 2% who win a prize. So now we just filter that percentile to be less than or equal to 0.02, and the students remaining are those that would win a prize. Okay, great. Thank you very much for this challenge, Ed. I really enjoyed the process, the data set you built for us to play around with, and thanks very much for watching.